Before selfies, before studio shoots, there were portraits, and those weren't just painted for posterity. They were curated, composed, and airbrushed by brush. Let's rewind to the Elizabethan era. Women were painted pale as parchment because tanning meant you worked outside like the poor, dressed head to toe in stiff, virtuous fashion with sleeves big enough to smuggle a Bible. No skin, no smirk, definitely no eye contact. Why? Because portraits were PR, meant to show piety, purity, and political value. You were a good girl in oil paint, even if you were raising hell behind palace doors. And if your portrait was done by Nicholas Hilliard or later Isaac Oliver, oh, you weren't just pure. You were polished, prestigious, and politically marketable. The goal? To show virtue, chastity, and divine favor, especially for unmarried women who were often marketed through these portraits for strategic marriages. Fast forward to the late 17th and 18th centuries, and things start heating up. Say hello to the Rococo glow-up. Shoulders start peeking out, fabrics cling a little closer, bosoms begin their era of soft rebellion. Portraits became more personal, sensual, even theatrical. Think Madame de Pompadour or Boucher's muses. Artists like François Boucher and Jean-Marc Nadir painted ladies like they were starring in their own romantic opera, lush, glowing, and just flirty enough to raise a royal eyebrow. Why the shift? Well, women were becoming more than political pawns. Women were now portrayed as objects of desire, not just symbols of virtue. They were social symbols, hostesses, muses. There's even a rise in mistress portraits, portraits of powerful women who weren't wives, but wielded influence through intimacy. So yes, art follows power, and power was feeling, flirty. By the Regency and Victorian eras, portraiture had a full-blown identity crisis, in the best way. We swing back toward modesty and domesticity, but with emotion, the angel of the house vibe. But women weren't just painted as saints or sinners. They were romantics, thinkers, even seductresses, subtly, of course. If Sir Thomas Lawrence painted your portrait, or Franz Xaver Winterhalter brushed your curls, well, let's just say you were framed in status. But if you had coin and court status, you probably posed with purpose. Oh, and let's not ignore the painter drama. These portrait artists? Total rock stars. Think of them as the celebrity photographers of their day. If Hans Holbein painted you under Henry VIII, you were court certified. If Lawrence captured your jawline, you had a seat in a duchess's diary. And if Winterhalter made you glow, you were basically royal influencer status. If a court painter got commissioned to paint the queen, you bet every noblewoman in town wanted a version of that look. That's why so many portraits from the same era look like clones. It wasn't lack of imagination, it was brand recognition. You know, like when women walk out of the same plastic surgery clinic and suddenly, they have the same Instagram face. Yeah, same energy, just with oil paint and powdered wigs. If it's good enough for Her Majesty, it's good enough for me. Now, the crown jewel of this glow-up? Queen Victoria's so-called secret portrait. Yes, her words, straight from her journal. In 1843, she had herself painted in a sultry, off-shoulder pink gown, hair down, soft lighting, tender gaze, the royal equivalent of lingerie and lighting candles. Victoria loved Albert deeply, almost obsessively, and this painting was her way of being both queen and wife, but clearly emphasizing the wife. It was a private gift for Prince Albert's 24th birthday. Not nude, but suggestive enough for a queen who ran an empire. Hung in his dressing room, for his eyes only, not the gallery. So yes, portraits went from holy halos to hot girl energy. They told stories. They hid secrets. And sometimes, they whispered, "This one's just for you."